Good morning, everybody. We'll let everybody funnel in, and then we will begin. Just drop this link in a couple spots, and we are good to go. Let's just see what we got going on here. And drop this in a couple spots. And we're going to drop this in the room. And we are good to go. Perfect. We're just waiting for everybody to funnel in before we even begin. That way we're not stopping and starting, which nobody really wants to do. But just wait for people to come in, and then we'll get going. What's going on, Thomas? Good morning. So, okay. Unbelievable. Well, let's just waiting for it to just get a little busier. It'll take a minute or two, and then people start coming in, and then we'll go from there. So, good morning, everybody. All right, let's get to it, and let's start. So, there's a lot of news flowing out today, and let's just start with focusing on that news. And what's that going to really do for us? Well, what that news is going to do is it's just going to kind of tell us what's really going on out there. So you have peace talks. Now, whether or not we actually have peace and are, quote, swimming in peace remains to be seen, right? Like a lot of us are just kind of holding our breath on that. But if you, let's blow the screen up a little bit. So if you just take a look at what's going on, you're seeing the stocks stay above this level right now. This is what you're seeing pre and post. You're kind of just bouncing around right where you closed. You're not really doing a whole heck of a lot. The Qs, okay, very similar. You're not really doing a lot. Like a lot's not really changing. So something to think about there. Now, this news on Tesla, that's from the class. This news from Tesla that's moving it. This is good news to see it act this way. And you are above this level, which is pretty important, right? Because you rejected there before. So you're above the doji on the breakout. I'm just not chasing anything in this market. Now, could this continue? Absolutely. This can continue because you're going to have window dressing this week. And as you have window dressing, people are going to say, oh, we knew this, we're in it, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where my head is. This is not me. I'm not chasing this. Will I get involved? Yeah. On pullbacks, I would absolutely be interested in getting involved in it. I'm not sure that you do get a pullback, but I'm definitely not paying up for options or stock at this spot. The one that's most interesting to me is this. I understand the news, and maybe it does come in on that news, but the fact that they're talking about cutting iPhones down, I'm not so sure I'm buying that. It really seems to me as almost a ploy to get the stock down. I'm usually a conspiracy theory kind of person. I really don't believe that. I think it's one of these things where like a couple of days the stock could be higher, taking out this high, but we're going to have to see how it plays out. So that's really what I want to go over. Energy is the worst because of peace talks and because Shanghai shut down. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm not doing anything with the energy names. As far as selling, I bought some on Friday. I'm not doing anything with them. And I'm just going to sit, watch, and wait. And I'll see how they act off the open. GFSX the best, NVIDIA second. I mean, that's pretty much it. So let's get into what's in the group and what we're looking for. What's going on, William? Thomas, good morning. Google, can you cover? Yep. So for me, Google, I like it. I like the fact that you're splitting. You need to be looking out long term. That's all I can really tell you. You need to be looking out long term with this. It's just moved about 10%. There's your level. If you flip this level, your next is got to watch this doji. So you just have to keep walking yourself up on this. There's not much more to do with it, right? You have to then watch that level. And then if you get over that, you watch this level. I mean, just watch these peaks because the tops of these wicks are price rejection. That's where somebody sold heavily, right? That's the level where they were at selling that they're saying, hey, we can get out at any price. So that's something to think about. All right. Something to consider. I think I like it. I mean, I think over time you're going to take out the highs, but you're going to have to give it time here. And you just had a huge move, right? So if the market comes in, this will come in and probably test 2780, 2750, something like that. So just keep that in mind. And let me just throw this up so I can stare at this because I have a position in this. It's down right now, but wish I waited till this morning. AOSL. Yeah, I think that could work. That could work. I mean, I was looking at it. It fits the profile. These are the kinds of names I want to say, right? Like here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So you see this? This is as far as the data can go, right? These are the ones you want to focus on. See that? Like this is what you want to focus on. If you can do one of two things. One, get above that 66.28 or get above this 67.25. You want to focus on this name. I mean, it's that clear. You want to focus on it. There are some things that you just really need to watch. But overall, I would definitely focus on that name. I like it. I like the volume spike, Dan. I think it looks good. TWAC puts, look, this is simple. The day he steps down and says he's going to no longer be associated with the company, the day it goes lower. Now, you saw the first lower low on this. So it's possible that this goes back down to 61, 62. I don't know. I don't know that I'd be buying options on it. I think there's better names out there to buy options on. It's not something I'd be chasing. I mean, that's kind of where my head is with it. It's not something I'd be chasing. What's going on, Jacob? Good morning. I would watch the stocks really closely here, my friend. Like, I would just watch these levels very closely because if you flip 42.37, so let's say you get 42.5, you're going to see people step up. I'm not so sure what happens off the open because I'm already fading here, right? So you're going to have to watch this. So you're already kind of fading. Let's just throw this on a 2-minute, get rid of some of the noise, right? Hold on. So you jumped up, you tried to break out, and you're already fading back down the flat. At the same time, the VIX is up 4%, right? So this is already bidding up from the close. So I've got a VIX bidding up. I'm right at that level we've been talking about. So I'm a little concerned here. I want to see how we act. I'm not in a big hurry here. This could be where people buy tech and tech comes in for a little bit and then energy rallies after people sold it in a panic this morning. That kind of market would not surprise me. I don't know that I would be waiting. It depends on where you're in this trade, on the stocks. Now, for me, the moment that if I'm in an option, the moment that it takes out this low, you hold on, let me just clean this up. So the moment it takes out this low, you have to get out of the way. I mean, I don't know if you're going to use that as your stop, but this is a dragonfly essentially. You really want to see it break out and go higher. So you're kind of in no man's land, right? Now, if it gets over the 42.40, I do nothing with it. I would give it the opportunity to do what it needs to do. But as far as 40.80, I mean, I know that's a level we were talking about on Friday. I don't know that I'd be using that level right now. I might be using this, right? Like if I break that right there, I'm probably done, right? You probably put a fork in it because you are in a position where you already had this, right? And you broke it. And then you hit it and you bounce back. And now you got over it at the end of the day. So if I then break this level, get rid of this for a moment. So then if I break that, right? So you have this basically wonky morning start. So if I break this, right, I got an issue. I don't like issues. So I want to get rid of them. I have enough issues. So I'd get out of that. Yeah, major window dressing. I don't know if it's been all week, but it's definitely going to kick in. You're going to have some major FOMO this week because here's the issue, MS, and you're 100% right. Let's just kind of walk through it. right? You started the year off here, right? So like this is what you started with, okay, from the low, and this is where you went to, right? So hold on, let me get to the first. So we'll get to here because let me do this accurately. So this is what you dealt with, right? Which is not really that, not that big a deal, quite frankly, but this is where you're at. All right. So you have made 67% of the low already off that move, right? So if you were to look at this, I'll show you something else in a moment. But if you're to look at this, they're going to have to play catch up, or everyone's going to want to know, why are you behind? You're behind the index. I was better off buying an index fund. Why am I in your fund? That's the game, right? So they have to show that. Now if they're loaded with Apple and Tesla going into the week and GFS, that's why I think you're going to see a squeeze in some of these names. That's why GFS is so appealing to me, because it makes sense. And then they can look smart. Look, we were buying foundries that are building in other countries. There's a whole story to it. Apple, I don't believe that the pullback. I don't believe the hype. But 100% MS. Here, let me show you this too, just so you can kind of get an understanding of this. Let's get rid of everything. And let me just kind of show you where, and this is just an interim way to look at fib levels, but just kind of keep that in mind, right? You've retraced 61.8%. You're right at that fib level, right? Now, if I get super specific and draw it properly, you're right there. Okay. I'm not saying that they're be all end alls, but this is a level. And when you use fib levels, use them as an area. Don't use them as it's going to hit there and then it's going to react, right? Like if you use it as an area, it makes much more sense, doesn't it? Like, look how you acted in here. Look how you acted in here, right? So these are places where you may, listen to my words, you may have an inflection point. Like you might have an inflection point here. I've been talking about it, right? The VIX is up. We're kind of going flat. Maybe, what a great day to lure everybody in. Tesla up 5, then pull out the rug. Does it happen? I have no idea, right? I can only trade what's in front of me. Anyone that tells you they know what's going to happen today is just, they're not being accurate. They're not being honest. 38.2%, you can see that level, right? So if you look at it as an area, it seems to make a little more sense, doesn't it? Bonk, 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 right? Just by taking the previous high and the previous low, you get areas of distribution and accumulation. So something to think about that you might want to do. You can do that on your stocks too. What's going on, David? HYMC, Nile, MULN, or other speculative picks if you have any. The one that they did in the room, and I think that they nailed, and hopefully they took some profits on, was this. I mean, this I get. I would be looking at buying this on the dips. Like, give me 10% down today because everyone thinks that you don't need oil, and I'd be all over this. I'm down 5% right now. It's not enough. But give me down 10% on this today. Give me a test of this level, like where I can, give me like 437, 440, give me 450. So I'm risking 13 cents to be in that trade. I might go heavy on this just to get involved, because these kinds of names can really work over the next year. Now, MUL, I'm just going to tell you to be really careful of, and not because the battery or any of that, but this was your level. And you have to understand something. They don't have enough money to make it 6 months. Like I don't usually talk fundamentals, but I dove into this one because I was trying to figure out why it's so underpriced. They need to raise money. They already need to raise money. Their burn rate's insane. So a secondary is coming. It's just a question of what price. They were probably hoping to get it higher than that. That's not something I would be playing with. I would totally avoid that. If you can't be up over your 50-day right now, I don't care what space you're in. This is going to get a lot of play because of what they do, the space they're in, and AMC. So you're going to get a ton of action in that name, right? So maybe it's something you can look at. Maybe it's something you can play with, right? So, but I don't really care that this is bidding up 21%. I mean, if I could short a ton of this and just leave it alone, I'd probably make money. I'd be more inclined if I wanted to play something and take a shot this, but I really like this rig. I just hope it gets hammered. I know the people that are in it right now don't like to hear me say that, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. And this bidding up, I care less, right? They will do a secondary. It will get hammered. My hope is that it spikes up and then I can start putting on a long-term short position, because it's probably a zero. They probably sell it for parts eventually. I mean, they have some good battery technology, but that's, pretty much it. Hey, Zervathia. So this is pretty much going to do what we've been talking about, right? You got right to the top of this level and we had to watch this rejection. Let's get rid of this. So this is where you're at. So, if you come to this 1336 today, maybe you look at it. I'm not buying it down 6%. It's not enough. Down 10, 15%. Yeah, maybe I'll look at it for a trade. But, you also have these, and I refer to this pattern as double horns, where you have a red bar, then a red bar here. Look, you go into, you got to understand this. You go into peace talks, and let's just say something comes out of the peace talks, right? Let's just say, like, this has already been bidding up, right? We're already seeing it start. But here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Right, so here. Right, so we're going to take it down. We're going to take it to support, and now we're just going to start bidding it up. Could see the same thing happen here, Servathia. But, sir, tell me if I pronounce your name right. Let me just make sure I have your name right. Hold on one second. Servathia is how I'm pronouncing it. But I'm not pronouncing it right. Please let me know. So, I like the name. I think long term it could work, but you could be setting up for a pullback. You have peace talks, and we start, quote, swimming in peace. Like, the market's energy is going to sell down. Give me a moment to get a little more coffee. So I would watch that line that I drew, and I'd watch that line very, very closely. That would be my line. I love the name. I think it's going to be around a long time. I don't think people truly are getting what's going on there. And that's my point. Like here, the only time in history you have that's similar to this is here, was the Iraqi war. And that's when they displaced everything. That's when they displaced the power structure of how oil was set up. I didn't understand it. And at the time, there were like a lot of hedge funds, and I was trying to understand what they were doing. They were buying the heck out of Exxon here, BP, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Like, I remember looking at like Soros's holdings, and they were loading the boat here. And in my head, I'm going, well, energy should come in because we have the Iraq war. We're going to have access to all this oil, $20 oil. Well, we know how that went. When you go look at history, that didn't work out so well for me. I was on the wrong side. I don't think I was short looking back at it, but that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm seeing having the potential here. So I think you have the potential very easily. If you just take a look at this, I think when people start getting this, you have the potential to get to here very easily. Like, I think this could be a home run, but it's not going to be a straight line. So I need to use that, and I need to assume that I could be wrong too, right? You can always be wrong, and that's what I would focus on. So that's how I would play it. Let me get the coffee. So I have a long-term, position in it, but I got like 1 foot out the door on some of it, right? I mean, I've been pretty clear about that, but I do like it. AT&T, I would avoid. I absolutely avoid the name. I mean, they have so many issues. It's not even funny. Eventually I don't think they even have a dividend anymore. I think they're going to have to get rid of it. They can't afford it. And their ties to like media companies, they have a lot of issues. So it's not something I'd want to be in. Like, I know people that are buying it and they're saying, oh, I'm buying it because I'm getting 10%. Okay, how's that going? Right? Like, I know people that are saying this, and they pitch buy the dividend names. Like, you're getting slaughtered. You're getting absolutely slaughtered, right? And while you're losing your capital, you're getting a dividend and probably increasing your income and tax burden. So, like, it's just silly. There's certain names, like if you want to buy a dividend. Like, buy a dividend. Like, this is a great dividend company, right? Like, something like that could really work. Someone brought this up the other day, and I got to look at this dividend. But if this is paying 9%, really paying 9%, you should be looking at this. I mean, that's definitely one. If you want a dividend, buy this. They're going to wind up increasing their dividend dramatically over time. But AT&T, I would just avoid, Jacob. Not a fan at all. Too many issues. The rumor is that Apple is cutting their iPhone production. This is from the newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, there's a free version in the description. Just click on it and you'll get it. Also, a lot of people are saying they're not getting these private videos I'm putting out during the day. So I'm going to change the format of the newsletter and start including the private videos in the newsletter in some format, maybe like 12 o'clock or something, as like a midday newsletter, like just a blip, and put it out that way. I'm considering the idea. If that's of interest, you're going to make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter as well as the YouTube channel. That way you have two spots you could get it. I don't know why some people are getting the content, some people aren't. I've been told to tell people to log out, log back in, but for some people, that's not even working. So just FYI. CCJ. What's going on, Daniel? So, yeah, I would just be careful. I mean, like, we ran up. Everyone's like, this is such a long-term trade, right? So I'm not a fan. You ran up and then you did nothing. All you did is reject wick after wick after wick. So I would watch it. If I was in and it broke this, I'd be out. I'd be gone. So if I break that 27.39, if I break the breakout bar, I'm out. I'd be gone. Depends on how much money you want to spend. Right, Janice? I mean, it depends on how much money you want to spend. I mean, there are services. I have services that are expensive, and I get everything like immediately. But it depends. I think that for the majority of people, using their trading software is just fine. Benzinga's okay. Like, they're decent. Like, I have a link in the description if you want it. They'll give you like a discount if you use the link. But to me, their data feed is no better than say, your Thinkorswim or something along those lines. So I wouldn't, I'd be real careful about going out there and seeing things. Quite frankly, the majority of those news sources, just follow like Walter Bloomberg or Financial Juice on Twitter. Either one of them, they're free, and just set notifications up or put them in a tweet deck and put it on the side. It's free. And they're fairly, I know where they're getting their information from. And the only thing you're missing is from when they get the information to when they input the information. So I don't think you need to save those seconds or minute, but that's up to you. Good morning, Mr. Cactus Monkey. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, right? So like, you're down 20% in the trip. Like, what are you doing? Right. So I come in, I'm down. Do I want to be down? Is this how I want to start off? Like, that's a completely different conversation, right? Like, is this how I want to start off my week? Right. With a loss? Is that how I want to start off my week? Probably not. So I'd probably blow it out and just go and reevaluate what I'm doing. I mean, I'm just being blunt. Like, that's how I'll look at like LNG. Like, I bought LNG on Friday, in case war kicked up, and this spiked up off the open, and what I paid, 149. I'm down $3.50. You think I'm going to ride that all day and hope it comes back? No, I'm going to reduce my exposure and get on with my life. So maybe that's what you need to do there. But you got to watch the open. So BBT, I did BBT, and then we'll do Dan. Look, long term, I like it. Short term, you might have an issue if there's peace. If we start swimming in peace, it's going to be an issue. So TRN looks great. The only thing I remember looking at this is I just don't have any volume, but it looks great. I can keep saying it doesn't have volume, and it can keep working, but it's not my kind of trade because it has no volume. But I mentioned this, and I mentioned this dip. It could really go. This could really rip. Like, look at this, right? You're right there. Like, if you close, remember, quarter ends this week, right? So if you close there, that's probably an all-time high. right? Close. So that's pretty impressive. I just don't like this. No one seems to care. Facebook long. I'm not buying Facebook. I mean, could it work? Yeah. I mean, this could absolutely work. This could be like the mother of all dojis, or mother of all morning stars. I'm not buying this. I'm not above the 50-day. If you're not above the 50-day right now, I have no interest in you. Like, I just don't after this rally. But what does that mean for me? Like here, just watch it. For me, 235, that's a level that I would really want to see. And I think that this is doable, right? If you squeeze, but I'd be looking at the short setup. I wanted to get back to here and then looking at shorting it. Like they're done. I mean, what Apple did to them, it destroyed them. And then Google followed. And we haven't seen it with Google's earnings yet, right? So like this was just Apple when they changed their terms of service. Now Google's done it. So now they're going to change their terms of service. And, you know, one thing that Meta always said, or Facebook always said, they should have done a phone, and they should have done a phone. They definitely should have done something like that because they're just an app. So CVNA, I like that short. I also like home builders that nail, but yeah, I mean, this could absolutely work, especially if once you take out that lower low, 126, I think you're done. I'd like it to bounce and then find a spot to short it. I'm not so sure I'm going to get that fortunate, but yeah, I like this a lot as a short. So I think that can get really ugly, like really sloppy. Like this could blow up, frankly. This could get like Peloton, ugly. It'd be nothing for this to take out these lows and head back down to here. You have to realize all this shattered once that data came out in January. And this is when Manheim kind of peaked on their used car sales. And since then, they're just dropping. And they're going to drop more as they raise rates. Right? Less demand, higher rates for car loans. So right now it's the lower low. If you can get back to the 50-day, use that. The move down. Hey, Daniel. So here's where I'm at with this. So I talked about this yesterday, and I'd be really careful here. The fact that I can't stay above this 50-day in this environment, and the fact that you're doing this pretty much tells you everything you need to know. So I would just be careful. I'd like to see it reverse, but look, until this stops, and you're not there yet, right? So you still have negative rates. You have negative real rates still, right? So until you have positive rates, this is just going to go up. Okay, so maybe it comes down a little bit and rallies right now, people buying the 10-year, which is something else people should be looking at in regard to the indexes. If they're buying this, then maybe the indexes are going to come in. Just FYI, that's a sign. This has been rallying and people have been buying those names based upon that. But where am I going with this? Until this calms down and finds a spot, names like UPST or LC they have a real problem. Your borrow has changed dramatically. And that's why these things have just gotten destroyed, right? I mean, great earnings, and then it sold down because people saw it coming. And then when January hit, that was it, right? You had that peak, sell down, rally, and that was the end of it. So just keep that in mind. It's not something that I would have a drop down number where I'm getting out, and that's enough. I'm Daniel. That's all I can tell you about it. KSA. Oh, you're welcome, Jacob. Oh, I did that there. Okay. So Saudi Arabia ETF, yeah, doing really well. I mean, very little to say about it. I mean, just looks like it's going to be on a tear. Yeah, I mean, there's very little to say here. I don't see how they don't benefit from what's going on right now. I mean, people want to do business with them. They don't want to deal with Russia. They've decided they're not going to produce more. I mean, they've made that very clear. So not much to say there. So ZIM. ZIM's got some issues. I mean, a lot of people aren't in it anymore after the dividend, right? So we got stopped out. We made $13 on it. I was hoping to keep going and we'd see demand. We're not seeing that. Let's remove this. And now you're breaking the 50. I mean, there's not, maybe it holds here. If it doesn't hold here, I mean, you have to start looking at where you're going to have support. I mean, 62. I mean, where's this? 54. Maybe here. Maybe. I mean, this whole level in here looks like the most, right? That like whole 62, 63 area looks like the most support, but maybe you bounce over this. I wouldn't touch it till I got over this bar, which is $71. There's no point unless you're looking for like a really short-term trade. I use scanners and screens all the time. What's going on, buddy? ZIM, I would just avoid until it settles down. I really like the name, and they're poised to do great things over the long term. But it's very clear that people that own the dividend are now just getting out of the way. They got their dividend, and that was it. That's why you always have to, like when they have these kinds of dividends, you always buy right away so that you can get the push into it. You get the cushion, and then just get, set a stop and then get out. Like when it broke this, that was enough. Right. Once you broke that level, that was it. And I believe that's what we used. And that allowed us to lock in, 13 points. So not a bad trade for 2 weeks. I'll take 20% every 2 weeks. So now what we have to do is just watch and wait. And it's just not there. Like that's not something that you buy. You got a little gap down. You have a little island. It's ugly. So 907. Facebook, we covered. Hopefully you saw that. I'd be more interested on the short side. I think their earnings are going to be a disaster again. I like NVIDIA. I'll caveat this. I'm long NVIDIA here. I like it. I think it's going to go still. My larger concern is just the market in general. If the market comes in, this will come in, and that's my larger concern that I see right now. But overall, I mean, look here. Let me show you this. There's your level. There's your support. You bonked right to it the other day. I mean, it doesn't get any cleaner, right? Bonk, 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 right? Resistance, flips to support, test support, forms a doji. I mean, this is a bearish harami. So like if I take this out, this 273, I probably want out of it. But if I don't really want to do anything with it. I want to leave it alone. So I'm not so sure. We're going to just have to watch how these things trade off the open. You might see buying in energy today, and you might see selling in tech. I'm just not sure what we see off the open. The VIX has me concerned that we're bidding up. Like this VIX is bidding up. It's rare that the VIX bids up and then tech's going to go higher on the day. Hey, Jern. NTR. Yeah, I like the name. We have it in the newsletter. In at 104. I don't see sense doing anything with it. If it gaps down, like we're not going to have food problems anymore. If it gaps down, it's probably a buy. I don't know. I have that as a stop. That's got to be a typo. 12. That's weird. But it's definitely a typo. But I like it. If it bids down, I mean, you might want to look at it. Just make sure you don't break this level. But I don't see how these things are not going much higher. I really don't. Like when I look at them. I mean, people need to own these, right? We are going to have a real problem food-wise in the world. I mean, it's coming with what happened with the Ukraine and how much wheat comes out of there. Maybe it'll keep going, Shane. Well, if you can see the building, you have to buy the stock. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Every time I hit one button and type Kodak, it gives me this. So let's get rid of this. Yeah, I mean, maybe that works. Look, they changed their time. They keep changing their company and what they're doing. I mean, maybe it works. I don't know. You have to treat it as a spec play. I mean, that's all I can tell you, Shane. I would treat it as a spec play. It's not something I would buy. Yep. What's going on, Sheltered Corgi? So I think it's a great buy. And now I'd watch this level like a hawk. Bonk, bonk, bonk. I mean, this is where you roll. So you don't have earnings for a while. I mean, give it some room. If you caught it at 111 and you're up, I would just argue that you're at resistance and you're respecting the resistance, right? I mean, you just kind of have to look at that right here, right? I mean, there's your level. I mean, that's very clear where you have resistance at, right? I mean, it's not really that hard to see when you drill down and get rid of all the noise. So, and you cannot break that level, whatever's going on in here. So I would tell you that worst case, if you want to take the risk, if you take out a lower low, I'd get out of the way and take my trade and be grateful that I made that money. And you might even want to just take it now, right? And then if it breaks out, re-enter the position. So that's up to you, but that's not something I'd hang into. So NTR, we just went over. Yep. Please subscribe to the channel, and please, because I do put out those private videos. A lot of people see them. A lot of people don't. And make sure you like it because it does help with the algorithm. And I purposely do not run ads. So not to waste everyone's time. Thanks, Leah. All right, let's go. Thoughts on GME? Yeah, I mean, we had one trade on this and then I pulled it and it's done exceptionally well. Let's remove all these. This usually, when this happens, usually the markets sell down, and it's not doing that right now because people are closing their short positions because they see other positions out there. This is getting squeezed and it might continue to get squeezed. This is a pretty powerful pattern, but you have to play it when it breaks out, or you have to play it when it's near support, right? I mean, they're your trades. They're your trading areas, right? You can see this pretty clearly, right? Let me just show you that. Show that high. 125.79 is that high. So let's put it there. And then you can see how you're here, 126.55, 126.75. You can see what I'm talking about, right? So you can see that level pretty clean. MP. You have a doji. It looks great, though. I don't see a sense in doing anything with it. I like it. So I like it. So I'm usually asked what I'm looking at today. I'll just throw these out there. I'm looking at this very closely. If I can pull back to this level, this 123, I'm interested. This 141.66 is also where I'd be interested. I want to make sure that I clear this 284 before I even consider adding to it. I like the Apple news as a potential spot to buy, but I have a position in that already. So I'm not so sure I'll add. I may buy options on that. I mean, I'm definitely looking at it. They're really my big players. And this, I'm in this LNG already. If I wasn't, I'd be a buyer here. I would be looking at it. But that's really it. I mean, that's really where my focus. Where we're at, I am watching this like a hawk. I wish we just got rid of this M. I wouldn't do that. But I am watching this like an absolute hawk. I don't like the fact that we're bidding up on that at all. Why are you bidding up on that with peace talks? Like you have to start looking at how all the pieces are connected. PANW. Yeah, I mean, if that can flip this, I think it goes. If that can flip that hammer, which is basically a dragonfly, I think that could absolutely rip SF. I really do. But we have to watch that. We have to watch its relation to the VIX. I have to watch that relationship to the VIX. So, all right. Please. Thanks, Di. Appreciate it. All right. I am out of here. As always, if you need anything, just simply reach out. You can email me here if you have questions that you don't want to talk about, publicly. Some people want to reach out, talk about actual position size and things like that. Please reach out and trade to win today.